Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me just start by saying that the wider use of new technologies has and will continue to improve ATC and airport situational awareness. And I also see technology playing a crucial role in training more well-rounded and well-prepared airline pilots. As the number of incidents increases, the last thing this committee should do is remain complacent, which is why Senator Sinema and I offered an amendment to the Senate FAA reauthorization codifying the recommendations of the Air Carrier Training ARC to create a 2-month enhanced qualification program. This detailed course of instruction paired with advanced simulator training from seasoned airline pilots would expose trainees to the cockpits of the jets that they would actually be flying, and importantly, allow them to experience what it's like to handle challenging and dangerous situations in those cockpits. Mr. Babbitt, your bipartisan letter calling on Congress to expand the use of simulator training stated that, and I quote, requiring the repeated practice of the prevention of and recovery from myriad real-world accident scenarios in full-motion flight simulators will make better pilots, end quote. Could you elaborate on why the use of new simulator technologies is so crucial to training well-rounded pilots?
Sure, and thank you for the question. I think the ability we have today with the modern simulation exposes pilots to situations that you simply wouldn't put them in. We killed a number of pilots in the past, accidents, practicing engine failures on takeoff in real airplanes. If it didn't go well, they died. And we learned from that, and we've now created scenarios. The other thing I think we get in the simulation world is the ability to put people in an environment, and I don't just mean in the airplane environment, I mean in the cockpit environment. You have 1,500 hours. Is any of that with another pilot? Are you always just a pilot in command? And the answer, you could be. Well, that's not what you're going to do when you go over to work as a commercial airline pilot. You're going to be in a crew situation. You need to understand crew resource management. You need to know what happens when the captain is suggesting something that you don't think is operationally correct. Have you learned how to deal with that? You do in a simulator. And so I think all of these lead us to much better trained. They've been exposed to many things that you simply won't get exposed to. Are you going to fly your light airplane into a heavy thunderstorm and hail? No, you're not twice. You know, these do put us in situations where you can learn from it. Wow, we'll never do that again. I see what happened. I'll give myself as an example. In 1981, there was a tragic accident in wind shear in Dallas-Fort Worth. Every airline pilot in this country had to go get an hour in the simulator because Airbus, Boeing, and the FAA together changed the technique to recover from stalls. Every pilot in this country had to go get an hour in the simulator, and I remember mine. They said, just shoot the approach and recover just like you knew how to do. And we did, and we crashed. They said, now we're going to use the new technique. We learned it, and it was great exposure. And we've learned so much. Wind shear is not the problem that it was back then. So I think simulation adds a huge layer of learning and expertise and coordination to the system and safety.
Thank you. Ms. Homendy, I fully recognize the value of cockpit experience, and I see time in real aircraft as an essential part of training airline pilots. Or I'm concerned that the rote accumulation, as Mr. Babbitt has noted, of flight hours doesn't provide trainees with adequate exposure to commercial aircraft or prepare them for the unexpected, potentially dangerous scenarios. Do you see a role for the enhanced use of new technologies, including advanced full-flight simulators, to improve exposure of prospective airline pilots to scenarios that they couldn't otherwise encounter in real aircraft?
Yes, there is always a role for simulators as part of training, but the most realistic scenario-based training so that pilots become proficient.
Okay, thank you. Let me just, if I could, Mr. Errol, during my time as chairman of this committee, we considered and enacted the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2018 and included prioritization of next-gen upgrades to bolster the nation's air traffic control system. These upgrades, in addition to employing concepts such as dynamic airspace management, will allow the United States to better utilize existing infrastructure, increasing the capacity and efficiency of the NAS. Recent ATC issues at airports across the country have certainly highlighted the need for modernization. From your perspective, what technology upgrades should be prioritized to avoid preventable incidents like those we've seen around the country?
Thank you, Senator. Anything that helps to increase situational awareness for everyone involved is a great technology improvement, and the agency is in the process of doing a technology sprint, launching three areas of technology, one around approach runway verification, which will be or is available in all of our approach control automation systems now and can be programmed locally to detect wrong surface landing. There's the runway incursion device that will be deployed in the next year to year and a half at over 70 towers to provide an audible and visual alarm to controllers if they were to clear someone for takeoff or landing on a runway that had been released for another activity. And then lastly, a surface awareness initiative that we've kicked off for rapid acquisition and hope to have in place at our first facility by June of '24 for commercially available services that provide situational awareness similar to what any pilot can bring into their aircraft now with an iPad and they have good situational awareness of aircraft operating around. So anything that increases the sharing and real-time exchange of data between aircraft operators and air traffic controllers and provide that common situational awareness as well as safety logic is all helpful.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, my time has expired, but I have some additional questions I'd like to submit for the record. Thank you.